What is up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. Today is Sunday, November 15th, and this is Raphael Garcia here for episode number 76 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. As always, before I jump into our content for the day, I want to take some time to thank you for listening to us. We've been growing quite a bit over these last, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks, and we wouldn't be able to do that without all the people that support our content. As always, you can check us out over at MMAratings.net and also .com. That's our flagship where everything we do is posted on the site there. If you want to listen to our podcast, you can check us out here at YouTube or go over to Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or Breaker. All of our content is there too. You want to hit us up on social media, you can check us out on both Instagram and Twitter at MMA in both spaces, all one word. I am at rgarcia_sports, and if you want to hit up my Tuesday night co-host, Black John Green, Sean Humes, you can catch him on Instagram and Twitter under that name. So we're going to talk about a couple of different topics today, probably go for about half an hour, hitting up these situations brewing in both WWE and AEW. It's been an interesting week this week, and it hasn't necessarily been interesting from the in-ring standpoint, but a lot of stuff happening outside of the ring that has had people talking all week. And we're going to dive into the Zelina Vega situation, Chelsea Green, Brandy's promo, Pac returning. Maybe talk a little bit about Full Gear, and that's really about it. But I want to again thank you everyone for taking the time to check out this show, and let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's start with probably the biggest and most shocking news from the week. On Friday, Zelina Vega was suddenly released from the WWE. Now, I was sitting at a bar in Maryland, socially distanced with my mask on by myself at the time, and I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw her release. But what I saw first was her tweet about supporting unionization. She sent that at about 5:45. 10 minutes later, you see the official word from WWE where, they give everyone their statement. We wish them the best in their future endeavors and send them about their way. Now, this is pretty big because Zelina Vega stood her ground in the mounting situation where it came to the WWE forcing their performers off of third-party platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, and Cameo. So what was occurring is that now the WWE is kind of building a way for them to get a cut of the money that their performers were making on those outlets. Zelina Vega has a very big presence on Twitch. I'm not exactly sure what her overall numbers are, but she's definitely making within a couple of thousands every month as a Twitch streamer. It's a very big platform, and a lot of people are really doing a lot of different things on that platform, which has been fantastic. But now we have the situation where WWE saw that and they wanted their cuts. We've been talking about this for the past few weeks now, or not even a few weeks. I want to say it started maybe about a month or so ago. I wondered if anyone was really going to lose their job over this, and the wrestlers were being forced to sign a new contract, which included those platforms in their downside guarantees. Now they're not even going to get extra money from their streaming and their performing and stuff like that, but they were offered these new contracts and they basically had to sign them. And I was wondering if anyone was not going to, and if the WWE is going to follow through with releasing anybody. And lo and behold, this happens and Vega is out. And there's really a lot to unpack from here. First, for Vega, I think she's going to be fine. She streamed on Twitch that night, I believe, and had a lot of support there. I think she's going to be fine. She can make it both in and out of pro wrestling if she wanted to. Obviously, she can go to any wrestling promotion that she wants. She can go back to Impact if she needs to. But she can do whatever the hell she really needs to. She WWE had a star in her, and what makes me so frustrated with that is when COVID-19 first hit, and when it first hit the WWE, they leaned heavily on people of color. If you look back to those shows, there was one show where every match had a person of color in it, at least one, and that's on Raw. 3 hours. I've never seen that before. As long as I've been watching Monday Night Raw, and Zelina Vega was one of those individuals who the WWE leaned on. They had the stable of her, Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory for a little while, where they were basically in almost every hour of the show. So when that happened, and you knew as soon as the WWE got some things under control, got back to some semblance of normal, that was going to go away. That's exactly what happened. The stable was disbanded basically. Andrade hasn't even really been on TV since. Angel Garza's doing stupid shit. So you knew that was going to happen once WWE kind of got their handle on things, that they were leveraging these people of color because they were in a panic mode. That's my opinion. Vega really thrived during that time, showing just how great she is on the mic, showing that she's capable in the ring. She's the full type of package that they need in a women's performer right now, or just in general. So to see that they were willing to cut ties with her was kind of shocking to me. I was wondering if someone like a Sasha Banks was going to draw the line in the sand, because she has a big presence outside of the WWE, and it's actually very interesting because her episode of The Mandalorian came out this past Friday. WWE didn't mention it at all on the show on Friday. I don't even think they tweeted about it. She is credited under her real name on the episode, so there's also that, which I think is very interesting. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that, because if anything, I would not be surprised at all if she left wrestling to go do something else in entertainment. Wouldn't be surprised at all. She has the potential and the capability to do so. But Vega has been released. Now, what's important about this is a couple of different things. This is the opening to a bigger conversation that's going to impact all of wrestling. Because if you saw the tweet that got the most attention was her tweet about unionization, and the Screen Actors Guild, and also the president of the Screen Actors Guild. I can't pronounce the woman's name, but she reached out to Zelina as well, asking her to communicate with her what's going on. So she's getting attention from these groups that represent performers like professional wrestlers. We've seen Andrew Yang talking about the WWE and the UFC, and it doesn't end there, because a wrestlers union would impact all of professional wrestling, not just WWE, AEW, Impact, independent organizations throughout the United States. So it's important that everybody is watching this situation. I don't think anything's going to develop immediately. It's not going to be like a wildfire, but this is going like these types of things are going to be some interesting conversations to watch, especially as the Joe Biden administration kind of continues to formulate themselves, unless it's something ridiculous goes left between now and inauguration. These organizations that are classifying their quote unquote independent contractors, but treating them as actual employees, they should be concerned, because it seems like a lot of things are really going to be changed, or at least a lot of people are paying attention to the conversation more. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next few days. Keep a real close eye. I think it's going to go quiet for a little while, but keep a close eye on this, because a lot of people are supporting Zelina in this situation, as they should. And I would not. I'm surprised that they let her go. But let's see. Maybe she's the only one. Let's see what happens. Chelsea Green debuted, and it was so weird because she debuted on Smackdown, didn't say anything, and she didn't win the match because she got hurt. And there was a lot of people talking about why this was so weird. Why wasn't she involved? She wasn't even involved in the finish. She broke her wrist again. And if you remember, she also broke her wrist in NXT when she first debuted there. So it really, like, that's crushing. She was called up months ago after firing Robert Stone on NXT, and people were impressed with how she teamed with Charlotte. So there was an opportunity to build her up in that angle. She was called up to the main roster, never used in any way, shape, or form. Somehow appears on this episode, smiling along with Adam Pearce, not saying anything, comes out for this match and gets injured quickly, too. So I hope she's okay. I hope she has a quick recovery, and I just hope she gets better luck, is probably the word we should use there, because this is unfortunate to see this happen to someone again in this matter. I know she's probably frustrated out of her mind right now, so we want to send some well wishes over to her and just yeah, that's just really unfortunate. The two things I want to point out here from a WWE content standpoint, Drew McIntyre on SmackDown. I'm not quite sure how I felt about that because again, we've talked about the draft, we've talked about the brand split, none of that shit matters. And McIntyre is a big draw. Seeing him in that match with Jey Uso, it does create a little bit of intrigue to see what they're going to do on Monday because Drew is facing Roman for the WWE title. And if he wins that, then he will face off against Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. I don't think Drew is winning on Monday. I think Randy is winning on Monday. That Roman versus Drew match, that has long-term long-term value. And what I mean by long-term value is that's probably like a WrestleMania main event. That isn't a WrestleMania that isn't a SummerSlam match. It's something that I think would have value long term to the promotion. So I'm wondering if they kind of wait off on that and don't let Drew win on Monday. Plus, they also have like the Fiend is kind of involved in that storyline. I'm not quite sure who he's targeting because he's been targeting Randy, kind of targeting Drew. So let's kind of see how that plays out. I don't think the Fiend should beat Drew McIntyre either. And I don't think that'll happen, but let's kind of keep a close eye on that developing story as well. We did get to see Jay go one-on-one with Drew, which is big for Jay because this guy's been getting a main event push like none other. He's had some great matches this year with AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. This one with Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. He had a great match with. So the dude's out there doing the damn thing, and it sucks that this had to come because his brother is seriously injured, but he's making the most of this opportunity. I wanted to also talk about last Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, the biggest segment, another big segment in wrestling for Sasha Banks and Bayley. Their one-on-one match drew numbers that we haven't seen in professional wrestling for a long time, other than when they were in the ring together. So they just continue. This is why they're stars. This is why you cannot argue the fact that they are the biggest angle right now in professional wrestling, the most important, because that's what people are watching. If you want to use numbers to denigrate Kofi Kingston's run, if you want to use numbers to talk about why the Attitude Era was better, okay, great, no problem. But we're going to use numbers right now to talk about why Sasha Banks and Bayley are the biggest stars in professional wrestling. Period, because that's what the numbers say. But another big moment happened in wrestling this week. Leon Ruff won the NXT North American title, and he defeated Johnny Gargano cleanly, too. This was a great segment to me. It was hilarious. It was Johnny Gargano trying to rig the wheel to land on Leon Ruff. He did so. He was showboating a little bit throughout the match, saying he was kind of accosting Damian Priest, who's at ringside, and he got hit with a crucifix bomb, kind of a crucifix bomb kind of ish move, and got pinned 1, 2, 3. And Leon Ruff won the title and escaped without getting his ass kicked. He'll probably get his ass kicked next week or the week after, which is okay. It's fine. But this guy's name is down as a legit champion, and I'm here to see it because the reaction across social media has been fantastic. People cheering him on. Everyone's loving this segment, and I enjoyed it. I loved everything about this. And Johnny Gargano's he's a great wrestler in my opinion. He's a funny heel as well too. So I'm a fan for this in every sense of the word. So let's head on over to AEW and talk a little bit about All Elite Wrestling. I think I'm gonna skip the Full Gear reaction because it's so far in the past. I'm not really too concerned about that anymore. Pac returned on Sunday or Wednesday. And as I keep saying, Pac is someone that I will stop what I'm doing and I will watch in professional wrestling. He had the video segment last week talking about being trapped in where is he in England and finally getting back over to the United States. He came out during the main event on Wednesday and had some words with Eddie Kingston, so they're going to be a great feud for however long they're going to be feuding for. A lot of people were talking about the way Tony Khan was tweeting about a moment that would shake up the wrestling industry. Uh, and people were talking about he oversold it, etc. Well, that's his job. He's a promoter. He wants people to watch AEW, so he's going to say reckless stuff like that and get people to kind of tune in. So you can't be too mad at that at all. So cut the guy some damn slack over that one. Um, there's no need to kind of dig into that. And he even went a bit further by tweeting that he has some additional surprises over the next few weeks that people are going to see. So it's like people need to just back the fuck up and take a step back when it comes to their reactions to stuff online. Um, when it comes to what these promoters are tweeting and or saying, that they just need to take a step back because it's too much. It's just too much sometimes. Like just stop. Like people want to criticize every little thing that these shows do, and it's out of line and it's out of pocket, and it's just stupid as shit. So whatever. But I'm a fan of Pac returning. I want to see Pac returning. So let's keep a close eye on that. I think it's going to be a great angle between him and Eddie Kingston. Looking forward to seeing more from there. The big thing with AEW this week was the promo between Brandy Rhodes and Jade Cargill. So I, for one, had no idea who Jade Cargill was before Wednesday. I actually just saw her cosplay as Storm from X-Men the day before. I was talking to my brother about it. So when she was on TV, I'm like, yo, I've seen her somewhere before. I didn't know she wrestled, but flipped over to her social media and I was like, oh, this is that same woman. So I think she looked well. She looked good in that segment. She was talking to Cody Rhodes, and I guess Shaq is coming to AEW. I don't give a fuck about that. Like that, people should be upset about that. But whatever, they're gonna do what they need to do to get some mainstream attention, and they're gonna get some attention with Shaq for sure. They should have did this during the NBA season, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe they will because NBA season is starting next month. But she has some words to say about Cody, and as she is leaving, Brandy comes out, and Brandy has a lot to fucking say, which is understandable. Cody is her husband. But it's what she said and the way she said it that stood out to me. Now, we've seen Brandy on television years now, from when she was in WWE, when her and Cody left WWE, were working together on independent scene, Ring of Honor, Impact, wherever they went. And we know how she presents herself. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've never seen Brandy in a situation where she would fit in as a character in Ice Cube's Friday movie series, for example. But here she is walking out, and she has the most over exaggerated mannerisms and language to use towards Cargill, calling her trifling, calling her a heifer at the end, calling her a bitch, whatever. And to me, this code switching is a word that comes up in talking about how people try to speak in one setting one way, act in one setting the way it is opposite as if they are when they're in their quote unquote real setting. The issue with this is that why is it this moment that we need to see this version of Brandy, finger pointing, the neck twisting, enunciation is totally different. We didn't need that. We ain't never seen that from Cody, not Cody. We've never seen that from Brandy before. But all of a sudden, we need to see it when she's talking to a black woman. That stood out to me. And if you look at the responses to this, it's pretty clear that I'm not the only one that had these thoughts. Because you see people of color kind of cringing and rolling their eyes like, yeah, this is not a good look. All the praise I've seen for this have come from white people, specifically white men. It almost seems like this was a promo that was built backstage as like, hey, go out there and talk to her like not talk like a black woman, but talk to us. I know when they were talking about this creatively, the word attitude came up. I know it did, and it's just disheartening to see because that shit like that. You don't need to act like that to get heat. There are so many women in professional wrestling that don't get to be who they are. Naomi doesn't get to be who they are. Big Swole is doing a great job of it now, but like if she was in WWE, they'd probably change her whole character up. Bianca Belair, the big thing is like her personality and her energy and her presence, but WWE hardly lets her showcase all that. She's barely ever on television. So to see this in AEW, it's like, come on, guys, y'all know better. Like, y'all know better. Y'all keep talking about diversity, keep talking about elevating people of color and different sexual orientations on your show, but they keep letting us down with shit like this. And this doesn't need to be canceled. Like, this isn't about getting Brandy off of TV. This isn't about any of that shit. This is strictly about what is going on with this type of creative. This creative is not needed. It's not. You can have these two women have their beef without all of this. I mean, hell, Brandy, of course, Brandy should be pissed that this woman is talking to her husband like that. But the whole extra shit that isn't needed, that's what I'm looking at it like. This isn't this. We don't need all this extra stuff. We don't. So it's just another moment where you're looking at AEW's content. You're like, man, y'all slipped a little bit here, and you can do much, 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 much better by having people of color in the room for these types of conversations. Because this wasn't a good one, in my opinion. They can do much better than this. I wrote about it. You can check it out over at Daily DDT. I have some thoughts, so go peep out those thoughts there. But everyone, not a long show today. Didn't really feel like talking a whole lot, so we're here. But I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to episode 76 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Again, my name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me on social media at rgarcia_sports. MMA ratings, you can hit us up at MMAratings.net and .com to check out all flagship. This show is available across our podcasting network here on YouTube and also on Anchor, where you can catch us at Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, and Breaker. As always, hit us up on social media at MMA Ratings Net in both spaces. And thank you again for taking the time to listen to this show and for your constant support. We appreciate you all. Everyone have a good weekend and good week, because today is Sunday, but stay safe, wear your mask, and remember Black Lives Matter.